What was the biggest lesson that you learned about your program in the off season?
That we're losing some numbers.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have as many kids in the program, but that was kind of expected with what was going on in our middle school and the parks and that kind of thing. That was probably the biggest shocker or surprise, going into the spring with 70 kids instead of going into the spring with 100 kids. But other than that, things are normal. The way we are preparing for the season with our off-season program, the participation by the kids that are there, commitment, is still there.
How different is it coaching now than, say, even 5 years ago?
Parents, I would say. I mean, parents are not as involved as people would think. I think that's one of the major things, getting them to participate and understand that, that support has to come from home also, not just from school and the coaching staff. I guess the other thing is social media. Kids know things and see things, and I'm not a social media guy, so
Good for you.
I don't know what's going on until someone else. I do have a couple of coaches that pick up things, but we went to scrimmage a team yesterday in a 7-on-7, and we played against a pretty good player, and our kids pretty took advantage of him. But on social media, from what I understand today on social media, he was shown dominating one of our younger guys, and all of a sudden, this guy's a star. But it's all kind of things. But I think the social media part of it, and everybody has huddles, so kids are able to put together their own highlights and do a lot of things like that. So yeah, it's been a lot of changes. But I think the biggest thing is the parent support and the social media.
Is that your biggest concern these days about being a high school football coach?
Yeah. The kids are the same when it comes to when you get them in that environment where you're working with them in the weight room and that kind of thing, pushing them in the classrooms. Those things are pretty much the same. But it takes money to run a program. And the biggest thing I think these communities don't understand is that if we don't get that sponsorship or we don't get that support from the parents, it can throw you off. We were unable to do some things this summer that we usually do, like camps and stuff like that. We decided to do some things at home with our own program. So, yeah, things are changing.
So if you were Grand Exalted Football Poobah for a day, what would you change?
Probably, that's a good question. I thought about that.
King, yeah. If Ron Gartrell were king for a day, what would he change? What's the biggest concern?
I talked to my longtime assistant coach, Coach Sellers, and he's been with me since I came to Steve. Actually, we served on the Washington Wilkes staff back in the early '80s together. But we talked about kids going to school in their own districts and playing for the school in which the district they live in. There's so many kids now that are playing 2 districts over, 3 districts over. There are more private schools, which are drawing kids not only from the high schools, but they're beginning to pull them out of the park. So that's one of the reasons we're losing numbers. So if I can snap my fingers, it would be play with the kids that live in your community, because I think you'll get more community support that way over anything else.
When you look at your region, what do you see this year?
I see Tucker as being a nemesis. I see Lovejoy, Monday's Mill, in the county rivalry, MLK. From top to bottom, Drew is going to be so much better. Morrow's got a new school, so they're going to probably attract more kids. I look at our region from top to bottom. There's really no weak link. Every week is a challenge.
When you look at DeKalb County football, I know that you and I have been running the same DeKalb County circles for a while.
Right.
But when you look at a rivalry like a Tucker and a Stevenson, and there are other DeKalb County rivalries that are the same, what does that rivalry mean to DeKalb County?
Well, I think it means a lot. Teams have their favorites. And there are people who have kids that play at other schools, but they may be at their game, but they're looking out the corner of their eye, what's going on over here when Stevenson is playing Tucker or Stevenson is playing MLK. So I think that the attention is still there for the big rivalries and that kind of thing. You know, we play Southwest DeKalb. That's a non-region game, but you would think it's a state championship game. So the rivalry is still there, and you know, that's what you want. You want your kids to experience the biggest, most exciting opportunity that they have, and that's playing in big games. That's why we love for you guys to tell about it.